Hey there guys, this is Don from Prana-Tech. Today's video I'm going to be doing a review of the Hynade MTG165SG. It is a 165 amp dual voltage gasless flux core only MIG welder. This is a great entry level welder, and if you've never welded before, this is probably going to be a great review for you to watch, and a welder that you want to consider as you're learning how to MIG weld. Anyway, let's get to the review and I'll show you what this thing's capable of and how it works. Alright, first we want to go over what the welder comes with. It comes with a 150 amp MIG gun. It comes with a ground clamp and about a 10-foot cord. It does come with a stick electrode holder. So if you want to do stick welding as well, this welder can do it. It's also capable of doing lift TIG. If you added a lift TIG with external gas adjustment on it. It does not come with a lift TIG torch, so that's something that you would have to buy separately. It does come with a adapter so that you can plug it into 220 volts, as well as the regular plug that goes to 120 volts. So it'll sense either way. You just plug this on the end and plug it into 220, and it senses which voltage that is incoming into the machine. So there's nothing to do except put the adapter on, plug it in, or take the adapter off wherever you go. Alright, I just wanted to stop right here real quick and mention that this welder did come with a 1-pound spool of flux cord wire. I just had already installed it in the machine, and so I don't have it on the bench here to show what comes with the welder, but it does come with a small spool of wire to get you started. Alright, I'm going to go do some welding with this, and I'll show you how it works and how simple it is to get started with MIG welding with this unit. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, so here's a quick look at the housing and the controls on the front panel, and now I'll show you how it sets up. Alright, let's go over the basic settings for how the interface works to get welding, and what you can adjust and what settings you'll need to get started. When you turn it on, it'll automatically sense what voltage you're using. Right now I have it hooked up to 120 volts, and you can see that it's sensing 120 volts right there. If you keep it on 120 volts, the maximum you can go is up to 145 amps. And that would be on a 20 amp circuit breaker. If you try to go 145 amps on a 15 amp, it'll probably pop the breaker. But it is nice that you can get up to 145 amps on just 120 volts. If you adjust your amperage, you can see that your voltage adjusts accordingly. The minimum amps is 50, and so this is great for beginning welders because it automatically adjusts everything for you. You don't have to try and adjust wire speed and all that and match voltage with it. It does everything for you. Over here we have what type of welding you're going to do. It has flux core 0.9 millimeter, which is 35 thousandths wire, 0.035. We have MMA, which is stick welding, if you want to flip it over to stick welding and use the stick welder. Lift TIG, if you want to hook it up with a lift TIG torch, you set it to that. And flux core 0.8 millimeter, which is 30 thousandths or 0.030 wire. Today I've got it set up with some 35 thousandths wire, so that's what we're going to be using. Over here we have settings for 2T or 4T, and that is merely to get the arc started. You press the button once and you hold it, and when you let go it turns off. That's what 2T is. 4T, if you select that, when you squeeze the button, it starts the arc and you can let go and it'll just keep welding until you press the button again and then release, and then it will shut off the arc. So that's the difference between that. Down here we have hot start and arc force. If you switch over to MMA, you'll be able to adjust your arc force and your hot start. I just usually use those at the default settings, and I don't usually touch it because they come from the factory with an excellent setting of hot start and arc force. If you want to get into more advanced stick welding, that's something that you can adjust with this welder. It does have a button here for local MIG and spool gun. This doesn't have gas capabilities, so you wouldn't be able to hook up a spool gun, so this is kind of irrelevant. They must use the same case for the next size up gas capable MIG. So just ignore these. Other than that, there's really not a lot to this. It's a very simple welder that is easy to get started with. All you really have to do is adjust your amperage and accordingly for the thickness. And if you're wondering how do I know, you can open up the welder and it has a settings chart on the inside of the door. So basically you just look at, you have flux cord here in yellow. You come over here and you go, am I using 0.8 or 0.9? And so you just select your thickness, go down and go, okay, 6 millimeter or approximately 1/4 inch, I need 140 amps. So you would just select 140 amps on the front. It'll automatically adjust the voltage to 21 and you're ready to weld 1/4 inch. All right, so that's about it for the settings on this. There's not much else to go over. When you get the welder, all you do is hook up your MIG gun to the front, and then you have a feed wheel right here for either 0.8 millimeter or 0.9, either 030 or 035, and you basically just feed your wire carefully through the feed mechanism right here, get into the tube, get it started out into the MIG gun, put your compression wheel down and put the tension device, and usually the factory setting for the tension device is fine for something like this. So it's very simple to get started. It's not difficult, and that's about it. The manual is pretty comprehensive as far as how to get started hooking up your MIG wire. So that's about it for the insides. Let's get outside and we'll start doing some welding. All right, so I've got some 1/8 inch steel, and I just want to show you basically how it welds and what a flux core weld should look like on your metal. So if you get the welder, you would know, what to look for, how a bead's supposed to look, and how the welder welds. All right, so I'm going to run a bead across this, and then after I'm done, I'll take it outside and I'll show you one of the great benefits of gasless flux core MIG welding is being able to be portable and take this out mobile and weld whatever you want. All right, let's get started and I'll show you a quick weld. Alright, so here's a close-up of that weld, and you can see what a typical flux core bead looks like. This is 1/8 inch hot rolled steel. Alright, now I'm going to go outside here, and I've got some parts of my fence that I need to repair. So here I've just got some 1/16 inch tubing that I'm welding on my gate. I've got an extension cord run out to the backyard, and I'm running a couple beads to reinforce where they've come loose on my gate. This is one of the cool things about flux core, is that you can just hook up an extension cord, take it anywhere you want outside as long as you have electricity, and you can make repairs or build projects anywhere you go or anywhere that you have power. So that's one of the handy things about this type of welder. And my dog's helping too. All right, so let's talk about this welder and what I think of it as a flux core MIG welder. So this is what I consider an entry-level MIG welder. If you are just learning how to MIG weld and you want to begin, I would say this is a great unit to begin with. With flux core, you don't have any gas tanks and hoses and all that to deal with. You basically just load it with flux core wire, and you're ready to go. You can work on your project, build whatever you want, whether it be, you know, a barbecue or chairs or anything like that. You know, for steel, it works wonderful. So that's the beauty of flux core, is its portability, its ease of use, and like you showed, I went out in my yard on an extension cord and repaired my fence. So those are the things you can do with a dual voltage 120 volt and 240 volt unit. You can just take it out with an extension cord, use it mobile, and fix or build whatever you want out in your backyard or, you know, out in front of your garage. And you don't have all the complexity of, you know, gas tanks, hoses, regulators, and all that to deal with. So in that regard, it's a great, capable little MIG welder. If you're looking for one, you know, to build projects with and begin to learn how to MIG weld, I'd say this is a great unit. It's simple to set up, simple to adjust and use, and just about anybody could learn how to MIG weld in just, you know, a couple afternoons with this MIG welder. So that's about it for this review. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section and I'll try and answer them. I'll put a link in the description to the Amazon site for Hynade. And if you like this content, hit the like button, share it with others, that'd be great. I appreciate you watching. I thank you all, and I'll see you on the next video. All right, thanks guys.